Morning, everybody. 8:10 a.m. September 17th. We got FOMC day ahead of us. It's not one of my favorite days at all. Just because for myself, I'm a guy of probabilities, and FOMC is usually a crapshoot. Super volatile after 2 p.m. Before, maybe the first hour or so, maybe I might have a setup, but everybody's waiting for 2 p.m. All right. I know some people like it. I don't really like it. To me, it's more a gambler's paradise than it is a true trader's paradise. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have an edge on these days, hey, go all for it. Me, it's all over the place. These days are like crazy. Usually the first move, morning, Mark. Usually the first move is not the real one, and then something happens, and then it could be taken back. Usually the day after is kind of where you see where things are going. Okay. Today, looks like we had the 30-year mortgage rate come out. It's 6.39. I do know that my good friend Rosita, I'm not sure if she's here this morning. I know that she's waiting for this 10-year yield, what this cut is going to do. FOMC is expected to do a cut, a quarter point. So mortgage rates should fall. But the 10-year yield needs to fall as well. That goes lockstep usually with mortgage rates. All right, so I'm sure a bunch of people are going to be waiting to refinance. Okay, so that's what's going on with FOMC, how it impacts everything. Short little summary. Yesterday I did have a nice long, so I'll be making a video about that. I put a little video out on my Discord late last night. Reason why I was late last night is because that trade I was in for hours, and that thing was like a barcode. And I originally entered the trade, got stopped at break even, which is fine. And then I saw, I'm gonna make a video about this. I saw what's called like a little bit of a liquidation break. Okay, basically a strong wick with buying excess. That told me the shorts just dumped their position. And then I put my same entry in, and then I rode that out to my profit target. And basically, it was 3R, 300% return on my risk. And if everybody listened to me on Monday morning, I told you about psychology and what I did on Friday. And so that's how trading works, folks. So like, this is not always what I did. All right, you got to let math play it out, right? So Friday, you guys know that I had 3 L's. I didn't even have more than 1 L, and I can't remember the last time, right? This is all psychology, right? And that day on Friday should have actually been a profitable day, but I wanted to get that one win back, which is when your emotions get involved. Trading, it's you don't see stuff. You got blinders on, right? So what though? What did yesterday do, right? Because in my system, I look for a 3-to-1 risk to reward. Well, that means one win took care of that Friday. All 3 losses now are gone. That's what you have to do in trading. You want to make sure your winners pay for your losers. Okay, so one trade took those losses away from Friday. Right? That's the thing when you go for the risk to reward like that. You don't have to be right all the time. All right, so I'll explain that trade in detail. I'll go over it a little bit maybe today. What else is going on? Well, China is telling to not buy NVDA AI chips. So NVIDIA is down 1.17% this morning, even before FOMC, based on that news. AMD is down 1.53%. Semiconductors are down 0.5%. Right? Interesting, right? Now, also, I don't know, Mark, I don't know if you watched the whole video because I know at the end I do scenarios, I talk about the markets, and I know that's kind of advanced, and I'm not sure if I'm just your market morning coffee in the beginning, and I would understand if you don't trade. It gets advanced later, but I don't know. But what I was saying yesterday was The NASDAQ looks pretty exhausted, looks pretty thin up there. I was expecting some type of a pullback, and that's what we got. All right, that's what we got. Market was getting a little over its skis for a little bit, and we just needed to come back before FOMC. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we get into it? Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is how I game plan, folks, using those levels. And then I show you those levels and make a game plan right in front of your eyes. Okay. Also use anchored VWAPs, market internals, my trusty under the hood. My execution is my book map, my little baby, my book map. And of course, the weekly expected move indicator. The weekly expected move indicator. Okay, it's an expected move to the upside, to the downside, basically a range. That's 70% of the time the market will, stock will close inside that range. Again, get that on my Discord. Okay, remember on Monday, Google hit its expected move to the upside. That was supposed to happen by Friday. It's struggling there, and that is not a surprise. What also joined that race was GE, General Electric. They also hit its expected move already yesterday. And it's so crazy when it hits it because it's just like boop. It's like a wall. Okay, that's like a wall. All right. So hopefully you join me every day like Mark did. Let me be your coffee, tea, water, etc. in the morning. Let me give you the story of the markets. All right. I'm going to give you the news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards, just why the market's doing what it's doing. Still not sure Rosita is here, okay, but she actually called me, and I was like, hey, I'm actually going to get in a long. She was hitting me with the first long, break even. Re-entered. She was with me on that long. I should have recorded it because I was giving her play-by-play what should happen. And she's not here right now, or unless she's maybe too busy to chat. But she heard me play by play. This is what should happen in the SPY. This is a gamma level. If we retest the gamma level again at 660, we should go higher. It was like play by play. Okay. And then I hit my target. Pretty cool. Maybe she'll come in later and she can say, oh my, yeah, I was listening to every, literally, almost like a quarterback. All right. What else? Well, if you want something like that, what are you going to do? You're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link. All right, sign up. What are you waiting for? I'm not sure if Mark joined yet. But what do you get here? Live market updates. I'm telling you what I see. I'm making videos. I'm telling you what I'm interested in. I'm giving you my trades. There's my trade from yesterday. Boom. Was in it. 3-point risk. Right? 3-point risk. 9-point target. Hit it. I told everybody target hit. 3R winner. Right? I will do a trade recap. Okay. Nice little, I'll edit a video and tell you exactly why I got in the trade. All right. Now, weekly expected move. Rosita, my friend, has finally put that on her charts and her mobile. Took her 8 weeks, and it took a total of 2 minutes to do. So what are you waiting for? The only way you can get it is joining my Discord. Okay. Anyway, why don't we get right into watch list here? Now, I'm not expecting much here. I wouldn't expect much here. It's FOMC day. All right. You're getting a little pop in the VIX here. We're at a 16.53. Interesting. Probably a little hedging for FOMC. All right, what do we got? VIX up 1%, 16.52. Dollar is up 0.19. Russell up 0.17. 30-year bonds being bought up 0.16. Dow's up 0.09. It's pretty much flat. 10-year yield's flat. Nasdaq's flat. ES flat. See what I'm talking about? Ethereum down 0.11. Crude down 0.39. Gold down 0.51. Bitcoin down 0.51. And silver is down 2%. All right, moving on to the Mag 7s here. Netflix, who hit the expected move to the downside last week, it's getting some love, right? They are up 1.06. That's really the only leader that makes sense right now. Then you got the 1%ers. Tesla's had a monster run, down 1.02. NVIDIA down 1.10 with the China saying not to buy NVIDIA chips, AI chips. Eli Lilly down 1.40. Not sure yet why they're down. Eli Lilly. AMD down 1.53. They're the laggard today. Top sectors. United Healthcare is down 0.76. So something's going on with healthcare. Something's going on with healthcare. Let's get to the granular list here. Monster Workday has some upgrades. IonQ, that's the quantum computing. They just made an acquisition. Alibaba up 2.46. Let's see who's lagging today. I guess it's some semis maybe. General Mills reported earnings. Not good earnings, so they're down 2.2%. HIM's down 1.85. Gold Junior Miners down. Oklo, they're like a nuclear energy stock. There's nothing really that bad here. So there's nothing really, except Workday is killing it. All right. Let's move on to sectors. That's what really matters here. Utilities are up 0.15, and there's really nothing to report here. Who's down? Semis. Down 0.45 because of the news I told you. All right. Economic calendar here. We have none of this moves markets. Building permits, housing starts. That doesn't move markets. You got crude inventories at 10:30. 2 p.m. is the Fed rate interest decision. Consensus is a quarter base cut. We're at 4.5. Then you have 2:30 p.m. the press conference where Fed Powell. Good morning, Chief. I was just talking about you. I was doing a lot of talking about you, Chief. Basically, I was telling everybody, which is maybe be 2 people in the world right now, but I was telling the channel that you were with me on the long yesterday, and you were with me on that long, no pun intended, the second time. And I was telling them I was with you every step of that move. I walked you through what should happen. 660 gamma flip point for the day. If we retest it again, we should go up. And you can confirm that in the chat if you want to say that you were there play by play. Back in old school, what me and Rosita used to do. I used to do this with her and say this should happen and this should happen. And she was a witness to that. Okay. Now, we are going to look at financial juice. Let's just see if there we go. There she is. There she is. Confirming it for me. All right, there she is. Confirming it for me. Now, financial juice. I already told you China tells tech companies to stop buying NVIDIA AI chips. All right, that's why semis are down this morning. Okay. Now, let's see. 7:20 Trump UK arrival ceremony. That's already happened. Now we got FOMC. Anything else? Yes. Trump speaks on Fox at 3 o'clock. Trump speaks on Fox at 1. I'm sorry, at 3 o'clock. Okay. Let's go into some other news here. Let's first start with some stock news here. It's probably going to talk about, let's see here. It should tell me some stocks here. It's not giving me that, it's not giving me that beautiful summary that I like yet. But that's okay. Let's look at the Eli Lilly. Excuse me. Why Eli Lilly's down? Here we go. Eli Lilly cautious on using FDA fast track voucher for weight loss pill. There's very little knowledge about this National Party voucher today. Would not assume it will submit with a national. Okay, that's why Eli Lilly's down, I guess. All right. Moving on. And if they don't give me that, excuse me, let's move on. Let's move on to news here. Fed expected to cut rates. You know that. Let's see. UK and US agree 42 billion tech pact to mark Trump's visit. US wins release of Wells Fargo banker barred from leaving China. Let's see. Preview FedEx profit to be dragged down by US tariffs. YouTube, new leader of US media industry, bets on AI is key for creating content. All right. Says commanding 2.7 billion users, including celebrities like British pop star Dua Lipa, who share professional grade content. YouTube has become the most popular way for Americans to watch TV, and it is expected to eclipse industry leaders Disney media revenue this year. And that is Google, folks. That's Alphabet. All right. Proud owner, and that's been ripping. Now, um, I use YouTube too. That's pretty much my main TV source. Let's see here. Apple, China's smartphone market declined 2% in the first 8 weeks of the third quarter, with Apple posting a 6% decrease ahead of its new iPhone launch on Friday. Let's see what else here. Let's see what else. Eli Lilly, the pharma company, established itself as the market leader in obesity drugs in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and expects to replicate its U.S. dominance globally. All right. Let's see. It looks like Tesla electric vehicle maker has reached confidential deals to resolve two lawsuits over deaths in two separate California crashes. Okay. Here's Workday. Activist investor Elliott Management said on Tuesday it has built a stake of more than $2 billion in human resources software provider Workday. That's why Workday is killing it today. All right, let's see what else. AbbVie, Berenberg raises rating to buy from hold. The target price is 270 from 170. AbbVie, wow. Carvana, JP Morgan's raises target price to 425 from 415. Here we go. Eli Lilly got a cut today. Berenberg cuts rating to hold from buy to target price to 830 from 970. Procter & Gamble raises target price to 154 from 152. Ralph Lauren, Barclay cuts target price to 353 from 360. Interesting. Ready? Let's see how our good old breath is looking. All right. Yesterday, that breath was in the 40%. Woo. Now, remember, folks, our market moves on market cap weight. So this number is not reflective of market cap weight, right? This number is the true 500 stocks in the S&P 500. How many over their simple moving average, 20-day simple moving average, right? Only 38%. It is going down. Interesting. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, let's look at the Fed Watch tool. Let's see what we're looking for today. 94% chance of a quarter point and 6% chance of a 50 point. I don't see that happening. But we're probably getting a cut. Okay? Now, we can move on. Folks. All right, let's move on. We'll go right to dailies. Right to the beautiful daily charts here. All right, so basically sideways, right? We held last week's highs. It's part of the reason why I got long. All right, so that's what we're doing. Got this trend channel up here. We're at 659.60. 659.60. So we are at the lower portion of yesterday. Okay? Lower portion of yesterday. Let's look at futures. Okay, here's our futures. And look at last week's highs. Right there. You can see, don't ignore that. That's not going to mean much. But yeah, look, moving sideways. That's what we're doing. Moving sideways. Nothing to see here. Qs. Holding that trend line, huh? Interesting. It made a new all-time high. SPY did too yesterday. All right, but then it came in, right? Came in a little bit. Didn't go to last week's highs like the SPY. QQQ's been relatively strong. Okay, so what do we got here? We got 591.12. We're right at yesterday's close. Right at yesterday's close, pretty much flat. Let's look at futures. There's futures. Look at that little inverse hammer there from yesterday. Then you're getting a doji for today. Well, that's just tip right there. That means FOMC is coming. You see what I'm talking about? A day like today, not a lot of edge in that, folks. People are waiting on that decision. Okay. Like I said, if there is a trade where I'm like, ooh, this is nice, I might want to take it. Now, what I would say about that is, let's say the market like rips lower or something, or rips higher, and I'm like, internals are not that strong when it's ripping higher, or internals are not that weak if it's ripping lower, and we're like, it's a pretty good move, I might go long, and I call that my de-risk trade, because no one wants to hold the bag short before an FOMC or long. You generally go back to the mean. So that's one thing that I might look for. But again, like I said, I'm going to be super picky. I would say there's a good chance I don't trade today. But who knows? I might be telling you, hey, another one. I don't know. I'm going to be very picky today. Okay? I think we can move on. We'll just go over hourly charts real quick, all right? Boom. Hourly charts. All right. Let's take a look at this together. Let me just get my trusty marker out. Okay, let me get my trusty marker out. Here we go. Okay, so let's talk about this market, right? Remember what I said. The market bases trends, consolidate trends, balance trends, whatever you want to call that. That's what it does. Big balance, trend, little bit of balance, trend. Then we're in a balance, right? We're in a balance. This is last week's highs, right? Typical for the market to play, right? Came down here in the overnights. Nice little wick. That probably shook all that shorts took profits there. Now, most likely, you see how you just cleaned. This is like one thing that I think is very important to realize. And this is how a lot of people get fooled with price action. Okay. I want to show you something. Let's say you were long, or no, forget the long. Let's say you were short and you're getting paid. Look at that. Ooh, nice move, nice move, nice move. We pull back, you short. Short comes in again, right? And they get paid. This wick, whoop, I want to show you. Look at all the support that you just took out. This is the part of the reason why I went long yesterday, okay? Because if I'm short here, I'm going to take profit here. And that's what this shows you, right? And then what that means is you remove shorts from the market. They took profits. This allows you to now start to creep back up. Shorts are done. These guys took profits. Remember, they become buyers here. And then we can move up into here for FOMC. It happens all the time. And if you're a price action person who gets emotional on a move and you think, oh my God, we're going lower, that's what happens, right? That's why you get trapped a lot. That's why the market manipulates. They say it's a manipulation. And yesterday, my long, someone might have thought I was crazy for going long again. Like, whoa, you just see that wick? Well, I mean, I've seen a story before, so it was worth the risk, right? It ended up working out. So let's do one thing here. Let's just look at a volume profile, right? I could just throw a volume profile in anywhere in time I want to. So I might want to do it from here. Let's just do it from this candle, and we'll see where the volume's at. There it is. Here we go. So 66.70 is definitely pushing some volume, right? That could change into the most traded price of the week today. You can see big volume here, and of course the 66.50s right here. Okay, that's the beauty of volume profile. Now look at this, is a low volume node. Low volume node means that not much time was spent there. If you look across, there's one support, right? Two support, three supports. So this is a perfect example of a low volume node. Okay, how are you supposed to look at these low volume nodes? Well, they either act as support or resistance, or they get blown through because there's not a lot of volume there. And you have that both here, because you have support, support, right? Support, and then you got the blow through. That's the beauty of volume profile. You just have to look. Oh, okay. And if I draw this, right, this shelf, and this shelf, that also should be support and resistance in price action, right? Let's draw this shelf across. See how that's resistance, right? Shelf, right? See how this shelf is support? It's a beautiful thing. And then I could just be like, oh, I know this is probably support or resistance. This is probably support or resistance. It's a beautiful thing, folks. Okay? So much things with volume profile. Like I said, I'm probably going to have some type of education series on it to make people. It's awesome because you don't have to do much work. That's the beauty. Some people, yet, I mean, obviously I can. But in the beginning, when you can't read candlesticks, what is the trend? Some people, when I first started too, it would literally be, I'd be in a class, and they'd be like, "Is the trend up or down?" I'd be like, I'm like, and when you're new, you're like, let me see it uptrend or down. It's hard to see when you're just starting out, right? So let's look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, same thing, right? But look at where last week's highs are. See how high they are away? Just relatively stronger than the S&P 500 right now. Okay, and look what happened. You had that one little sweep candle, took out all these longs, shorts got profit. Now look, it's given the ability to go back. Okay, for FOMC. All right, and if we look at the volume profile and give you one more little tip here from your boy, we'll just go right from this candle here. I'm going to show you something. Right, little different profile, right? You don't have those two high volume nodes like you did in the ES, but you got this one big boy, 2, 4, 5, 3, 6s, right? Let's just call it the 2, 4, 5, 4 zeros. I want to show you something. Why markets tend to find a home. Okay, I want to show you something. Remember yesterday I was saying, ooh, this is getting type really thin up here, and usually price goes back to value. Now look what happened. You move away from the nice snuggly bed here, your home, your high volume node, your VPOC, and you tried to go away from value. And you can't establish new value up here, you return back to where? The snuggly warm bed. Right? Look what happened here. There's not a lot of volume here. See this area? That's where this went. Right there. There's not a lot of volume there. Guess what? I want to go back into my warm, snuggly bed of VPOC, or I call it the most traded price sometimes. Right? Because we know markets balance, trend, balance, trend, a little bit of a balance, back to value, and guess what? Back home. So wouldn't you like to have that on your chart? Like, if we don't have the candlesticks, I would be like, oh, just look at this. Oh, all right. Thank you, volume profile. Thank you, volume profile. Golden nuggets, folks. My lord, would I love to have me when I started. What I would love to have me. Instead, I had mentors, and they were not free. So, my competence comes from mentors and working hard. So, it's not just all self-taught. Some people want to have that on their sleeve, that I'm all self-taught, I'm all self-taught. Like, great. How long is that going to take you? I took the express pass, right? I want a mentor. I want somebody with 25 years of experience to show me what they know, right? I don't want to have to just say I did it all on my own. I still did it, right? Now, let's move on. Let's move on. Let me change my workspace. And let's look at our profiles, right? Today, like I said, I'm very casual today. I'm not a fan of today. So, but we're going to talk about market profile and buying profile, right? Going to do the analysis. And remember what I said yesterday, maybe Rosita's here. I said the NASDAQ is getting way too thin a volume. Way too thin. What do? We pulled back, right? Now, I wanted to be short yesterday. I just didn't get my setup. I didn't get my setup. Okay. So then I became a long. All right. You have to go. You got to flow like water with the market. All right. You got to flow like water. All right. Here we go. Let's look at our little profile here. This is our rolling weeks profile. Little thin at the top. Now we have our value area. That's our value. And then we have our excess to the bottom. So it's a double distribution profile. Distribution, distribution. Now the most traded price is still 66.50. That will probably move up to this 66.70. Now when Rosita was on the phone with me and I said 66.70 it was the most traded price of the previous day. That's why it's sitting here and just like, you know, sitting there and just balancing and it's just like, ugh. Okay. So today, I'm not expecting much. Look, we're inside yesterday's range right now. We do have somewhat of a bullish imbalance to this profile. Okay, so what I'm seeing right off the bat, we have a supply zone, right? The supply zone encompasses the value area high from yesterday's most traded price. 66.70 is right now the 24-hour most traded price of the week. The overnight highs as well. So that's 66. Let's call it 66.75. 66.75. Okay? That happened to be my target yesterday. Happened to be the 50% retracement of yesterday's range, the midpoint. It's a pretty good level. Okay? Bulls want to break that. Bears want to defend it. Okay? Now, what else do we have? What else do we have? We have a pretty big demand zone here. All right? You got to respect that. It already had buying coming in, and you have what? The most traded price of the week, 66.50. Right here. Okay? I would say these are probably the lower bound of the range today if we go down. I don't see us breaking that. I don't see it breaking it. Okay? Then you have this supply. Now, right now, all-time highs are in an overnight session, 66.96 and a half. That probably won't last. Okay? Got supply in here. That's probably your outer range of the highs today. Okay? I'm honestly probably going to be interested somewhere in here or here. Now, again, this level's pretty pivotal. I have to see. I'm just not loving it. All right? Now, remember, the rollover is still happening. We're transitioning. Okay? We're transitioning the contracts. We're transitioning. All right? Rollover's happening. The volume's getting lower and lower and lower in that September contract. Getting lower and lower and lower. Okay? So let's just do scenarios here. All right? Let's do scenarios. Let's do it. Now, we'll start with, it doesn't really matter who I start with, be honest with you. I'll start with a bull. I'll start with a bull. All right, so what do I want to see here? Right? So, if we pull back into this demand and the overnight lows, and we bounce down to the 66.50s, I just want to see. If this market's not that weak, this is what I said. If we even break this, and then we recover it, and then it's like, let's say it's like 11 o'clock, 11:30, people don't want to hold the bag into FOMC. We're probably going to go back to the 66.70s and wait for Powell. Remember, this is a snugly warm bed. It's kind of honestly probably what I'm looking at. Okay. Now, if the market does tend to rip up, remember this key 66.75 level, okay, and it breaks that, and let's say it pulls back to 66.70, maybe we go up into here. That's all I care about, okay? And like I said, I'm not a fan. Now, we do have something about that China saying don't buy AI chips from NVIDIA. We do have that. What is that going to do with semis today? I'm not sure. Okay, I'm really not sure. The bearish side, okay, let's see that. So the bearish side, what would that mean for me, right? Bearish side would mean I would like to see a push up into the 66.75 and a failure. Boop, lower high. And then I can sink my teeth into all these longs that were long from here and see if we could take out 66.70. I think we eventually land at the 66.50s, and I think, like I said, we get the bounce. The same thing, okay? Let's say the longs get control, like I said, and they move up into this supply. And let's say the market's not that strong, and we just do one of these whoop lower highs. I think we go back to 66.70s. That's it, folks, for the ES. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Here's our beautiful NASDAQ. Okay. Notice what we did. We came into the single prints. Now, these single prints don't matter until the RTH, real-time trading hours, 9:30 to 4:15. They don't matter in the overnights. Don't matter. Okay. Excuse me. Now, this profile for the week, lot of distributions. Lot of distributions. Remember I said it was getting thin, 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 and then it came back, right? A lot of distributions here. And you got your pocket of volume right here, which is the single prints, okay? We're inside yesterday, but at the lows, okay? Inside yesterday at the lows. It looks like your 24540s is your 24-hour month traded price. Formally, it's probably going to change to that today. Formally 24265s down here. Okay, but that's probably going to change today. Bullish and balanced to the profile a little bit. Okay, you got a poor high here, a little double top here. Okay, now same thing. Overnight highs or the all-time highs. You got big supply zone here, so I'm going to put that off there. Okay, then you got single prints here, which could get really cleaned up. So we're going to mark off the singles, and we're going to say there's a demand zone here, pretty big. Okay, and you have this price here. We can get pretty choppy here, right here. You do have a little bit of a confluence here. All right, you got that. You got a supply zone here, just like in the ES, and your value area high and your overnight highs are the same. That's your 24553s. Okay, just like the ES. So pretty simple here. Sorry I didn't break out the profile. I keep forgetting to do that in the ES. Just 30-minute bars, folks. All right, I know it looks like crazy to some people going, wait, I'm used to seeing candlesticks. These are just 30-minute bars. That's all it is. All right, nothing to be scared of. Let's get into the NASDAQ scenarios. Right here. Let's get into the NASDAQ scenarios. We're going to start with the bull side. Bull side coming up. All right. Now, you got buyers here. Okay, so these single prints can act as support. That'd be bullish. So if we did come down, let's say we did push up into this supply zone. Boom, tried, fail. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm giving you a bull side. So if we, if we came up here, fail, and push back down into these single, if you get any support on no single prints, that is a long, and you probably go back to here. Wait for FOMC. Okay. Other thing is you push up, break the supply, the 24553s, retest, then you go back up into this supply. And I don't think you go much higher. Maybe you touch all-time highs. Maybe. Same thing. That's all I'm interested in. If you push down past these singles, I'm not sure if I'm interested in that at all. All right, so let's go short side. Short side. All right, same thing as the ES, man. Nothing different. Come up here, take that out, fail, retest. You can go down, clean these single prints, and hit the 24413s. Maybe you get the bounce up from FOMC to de-risk. Okay. Other than that, you go up to this supply. If it's not that strong, you're probably decently strong if you go this high. Any kind of failure in here, lower highs, you're going to go back to the mean for FOMC. Remember the snuggly warm bed, right? Those VPOCs, okay? Snuggly warm bed. All right, folks. That's it for me today. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Smash the like button if you did. To be much appreciated. Much appreciated. Now, as always, hopefully you can join me every morning. Okay? Let me be your morning coffee, your tea, your water. Let me have the sunshine rise with me and be your podcast. Okay? If you have a portfolio, you don't know how to trade, I don't care. First 15, 20 minutes, you can understand what's going on in the markets. Okay? I'll give you all the information. Right? And then we'll go into the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders, and the laggers, all that garbage. No, that's not garbage. I shouldn't say garbage. That's not garbage. All that news, all that stuff that's important. Okay? Then I give you technical analysis, followed by the long and short trade scenarios, the ES and the Nasdaq futures, which I think are gold. Which I think are just absolutely gold. Okay? So hopefully you join me. Now, if you want more in-depth, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you can tap me and talk to me whenever you want. Ask me a question whenever you want. You're going to join my Discord. Confluence Trading. Okay, go to the YouTube homepage. Click on that link. What are you waiting for? I'll give you live commentary. Okay, my trades. And I'm not saying I'm an alert service. You don't got to trade like me. Use me as your indicator. Because I'll tell you, hey, I think the range is in. I think, and when I say that, I'm not saying that to predict. It's probability. My probabilities, though, are pretty good. Okay? So, I honor thy probabilities is kind of my mantra, really. Because if you don't have a system of probabilities, you're gambling. I don't know about you, but I want to be the casino. I don't want to be the sucker who sits down at the table. You might get a lucky run, but at the end of the day, who wins? The house, right? And that's how you have to think about trading. I want to put myself in a position where my risk is right, my setup is right, and sometimes that doesn't always come together. That's what makes trading super difficult. And for I don't know how long now, maybe 8-9 weeks or something like that. I am literally, besides last Friday, because I'm human, I am putting myself in this little box and saying, has to come here. Is that target attainable? Okay, it is. Is the risk to reward make sense? Is this a setup I've seen? That all has to come together. Now, in the past, I'll be honest with you, I could think in my head, ooh, I'd like to go long here. I'd like to go short, and you hesitate a little bit, and it starts to move without you, and you get in. Now your risk is not great. If you really, really wanted to get in, you don't hesitate. You get in. Just like yesterday. My new system is I let the market slam into my order. And don't get me wrong, it is not scary sometimes, because remember, like yesterday, I let that market slam into my order. It was like 3 points above, and I was like, hey, if it comes, see what I'm talking about? I said if it comes back here, I want to be in. But the market wasn't doing what I wanted. It was going up, and I was like, hey, you know what though? If it comes here, it's my risk to reward is perfect. It will be 3 points. My stop loss will be under the previous day's lows. You see what I'm saying? My target is attainable. It's basically the previous day's close in futures. And all that had to come together. And the more you trade, the older of a man and seasoned I get in this game, you realize it's a game of probabilities and an edge. and it's boring. Let me say it again. It's boring because the majority of the time you're just waiting like a sniper. And the wind has got to be right. The conditions has got to be right to pull the trigger. Okay? The way I used to trade, I probably would have shot everybody around my target. Okay? But you got to take the headshot when you got it. Okay? This is an analogy, obviously. Okay? You got to take it. You can look at it as a surfer as well. You want to catch the right wave. Okay? But I'm giving you this as a golden nugget because I was told this, and this is the other crux of trading, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is what makes trading difficult. I was taught this stuff from the beginning. And it's like, that makes sense. That really makes a lot of sense what he's saying. And then you trade with real money and your like motions are there and you don't have an edge and you make money on a bad trade, but you don't even know it's a bad trade, so it reinforces bad habits. You lose money on a good trade, so you think that stinks. It's very hard. You have a mental trade where you're like, I want to go long here. I think it's going to go up. And then it starts to go up and then you chase it. And then all of a sudden your risk reward sucks. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like it's coming back. It's coming back. Trust me. I've been there and done that. And when you make it boring and when I put yourself in a box, you give yourself a chance in this game. Okay? I just told you. This win took care of 3 losses. I erased Friday from one trade. That's how you got to do it, folks. Now, leaving you with that, everybody have a great day. I'm not a fan of today. And if my de-risk trade comes up there and I see a setup, I'm going to take it. If I don't like what I see and it's like barcoding, I'm probably done for today. Don't get me wrong. I'll look at the market, but I'm not going to look at the market in my desk. I'll look at it from the corner of my eye because I'm not going to trade it. All right. Everybody have a great day. Please join me on the Discord. I mean, you got nothing to lose. All right.